2, 1. Welcome into the Your Illini Nation pregame show here as Illinois basketball back at the State Farmer Center, getting ready to take on Michigan State and Tom Izzo. It should be a fun night. Andy Olson and Jeremy Warner here with you to get you prepped for this one. And Jeremy, things have changed a little bit for the Illini in the last few weeks. Now back to their winning ways, trying to make it a streak tonight against the Spartans, but certainly a better place now at 2-3 than when they were at 0-3.
Yeah, things have changed. I'm not Derek Piper filling in for Derek.
Right,
I appreciate you having me on. What's the quote from Major League? We won a game yesterday. We win one today. That's 2 in a row. We won one the next day. That's 3 in a row. That's what they call a winning streak. Well, Illinois got the chance to do that with a big opponent today, one leading the Big Ten along with Purdue. Michigan State's won 7 straight games. Now, hasn't been the most difficult schedule for them, but still, to win 7 games in a row is not easy. And you know the Michigan State Tom Izzo team is going to be well coached. You know they're going to be well prepared. But I do think this is a very interesting matchup in a lot of ways that we can get into. But I think it's going to be a phenomenal atmosphere here tonight, close to a sellout. We'll see if they sell out with some people coming up to the gate. I know they were within 100 tickets of selling it out, but I think Illinois fans should feel better about their team after back-to-back wins and 2 of the most impressive games I think they've had this season. I know Nebraska's not a great team, Andy, but that was one of the most complete performances we've seen from Illinois this year.
Yeah, it's going to be an orange out tonight, so it should be fun. Illinois wearing their throwback to the Flying Illini orange jerseys tonight. And we bring up Michigan State's resume, and it, like you said, still some better teams in the Big Ten to be playing. They did beat Wisconsin, who was without Wall as well as they were here in Champaign. One loss, though, coming to Northwestern in East Lansing. So as we've seen with everyone in the Big Ten so far, no one is impervious to that off night to taking one of those rare losses. And that was my theme talking about in the 6 o'clock news tonight. The Big Ten is all topsy-turvy so far at this point in the year. Michigan State around where it should be, but I think as you've tweeted out, you look at some of the KenPom projections, a lot of 10-10 teams. Winner might have 14 wins in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, I think Purdue's the clear-cut favorite. I don't think they're unbeatable, but they have an unstoppable force in the middle in Zach Edey. They're just the most consistent team right now. And you've seen Michigan State kind of step up. I think Michigan State's going to be in the top 5 of this league because of Izzo, because of just a really solid overall roster. But I still think Illinois has as high of a ceiling as anybody. I think you're starting to see that in the last couple of games. Of course, we saw that early in the season as well with some of their non-conference victories. We've also seen this team can play really poorly as well. And that's kind of what the Big Ten has encapsulated this year. But I think against Michigan State, Illinois is 6.5-point favorites. You look at the records, and some people might say, why? It's because Illinois has the best talent. I mean, that's what it says about the Brad Underwood era, that Illinois is starting to get more talent than Michigan State, but Michigan State is a veteran-laden team. Illinois has shown that it can struggle and have some really bad games here. So you got to see Terrence Shannon continue to do what he's done the last couple of games. You got to see Matthew Meyer continue to play team basketball. And if you're going to have Coleman Hawkins continue to play good basketball, like those are the 3 guys, the veterans, the guys who have NBA potential. You need more consistency out of them. And we've seen that the last couple games. Can they do it a 3rd game in a row?
Talking about the last week for the Illini, it was almost like a flip had switched against Wisconsin. And you can look at the offense and just how things have been playing differently, playing more spread now, and it seems to have been working at least through 2 games. What have you seen just as far as an offensive transition for the Illini and how that's working out better for them?
Yeah, the spread offense has really been a nice touch by Brad Underwood. It's kind of crazy. Do you give him credit for it, or do you blame him for not doing it all offseason and preparing for this season? But I do think it's put Coleman Hawkins, had less pressure on him. I think it's got Terrence Shannon moving downhill a lot more. And it's just gotten people moving. It's not just one guy standing around, everyone kind of watching the guy with the ball. It just gets people moving, more back cuts, just a lot more movement with this offense. But the biggest thing has been the ball movement.
Yeah.
You haven't seen as many, isolation, Coleman Hawkins step back shots, Matthew Meyer step back shots. It's just a team that's playing more like a team. And you can see so many different variables. One, they've practiced the spread a little bit more in the last couple of weeks. They're getting more comfortable with it. 2, I think the flip did switch after Northwestern of saying, we're 0-3.
Yeah.
We need to buy into what Brad is saying.
And I was at that game, and you're 100% right. It was just one-on-one matchups. It wasn't team basketball like we're seeing now.
And the other variable is Sky Clark.
Yes.
Listen, I don't want to say this was addition by subtraction. But I think him leaving, it was another thing to say, oh, we need urgency now. Yeah. But I think it's also put guys in more, like, this is my role. No one's coming to steal my playing time. Oh, Luke Goody comes back, maybe that's the key. But, like, Jaden Epps knows I have to be the lead guard. I'm the lead guard of this team. Ty Rodgers is playing a little bit more, not looking over his shoulder. So I think it's just said, these are our roles. We have to play them really well.
And what have you seen from those guys just in these past 2 games without Sky? We talked with Jaden about yesterday about how if he feels his role is different, does he feel more solidified in his role? He didn't give anything away, but it seems like he's playing like that a little bit. And Sincere Harris getting the starting lineup role for him, just, how have those guys grown into those in these last couple games?
Yeah, I still don't think Sincere Harris is a lead guard. I mean, but he's going to give his energy. He's going to give his effort. Ty Rodgers gives energy and effort, and you can get on the court when you're a freshman. If you play hard on defense, you go after the glass offensively, and you're just reliable on defense, right? Like, those are what those guys are doing. Jaden Epps, we've seen it since the beginning of the year. He can get to the hole. He can get to the bucket. He can score from the mid-range. He can score from 3. He can score at the rim. He can get to the free throw line. I just think this team's getting more comfortable, but I still go back to the veteran. Terrence Shannon, I think, had 15 shots combined against Penn State Northwestern.
Yeah.
He's the best guard in the Big Ten. You cannot have the best guard in the Big Ten just disappear and play passive. The last 2 games from the start, he's been aggressive. Nobody can match in the Big Ten at the guard position his strength, his size, his athleticism. Like, you stand next to Terrence Shannon over here.
Yeah.
He looks like a tight end, right, in the NFL. No one can really match that. So when he is aggressive, I just think that gets everybody else feeling good about themselves. And when he's getting 15 to 20 points, this team's really hard to beat.
Yeah, and that game against Nebraska was when we saw that return a little bit. Had his points against Wisconsin as well. But as far as Terrence Shannon being the guy who takes over for Illinois, that was very apparent in Lincoln. And it seems like it's very apparent for how Illinois is going to win games the rest of the Big Ten.
Listen, it's a role he's never had to play before. Yeah. He's always been a supporting guy at this level. And even when he played at IMG Academy, that's a loaded team, kind of a supporting role. It's different when you're counted on every night to do what Iota Sumu did.
Yes.
At some points Trent Frazier, but he's an NBA guard. And sometimes, like, he has to remember that. Like, you are that good. That's what this team needs out of you. And sometimes I thought he needed to get his teammates involved, not to be selfish. It's okay for him to be selfish when he's as good as he is. You need that guy to go get his own bucket sometimes within the flow of the offense. And I think you're seeing all those guys do that. Matthew Meyer's not hunting as many of his shots. I think he knows what his role is on this team. And Coleman Hawkins, I think, is being smarter with his decisions as well. So I think they're just feeling comfortable together, comfortable in their roles. We knew at some point that should happen. Feels like it's happening right now.
All right, Michigan State coming in with 7 straight wins on the season. Illinois, though, swept them last year. They have 2 straight wins against Tom Izzo's squad, but very good team this year. Like you mentioned, Purdue in a class of their own at the top, but Michigan State could be a team right up there with them. Who knows what's going to happen in the last 75% of the Big Ten play that gets started tonight. But, Jeremy, there are so many options for this Michigan State team, and it seems like Illinois defensively can match up with them well, but I was still a little bit surprised to see the spread where it is with Illinois favored by 6.5.
They got really good guard play. Yeah. That's why I really liked them. I know some people were off them. Piper was off on them because I thought they needed to go get a center in the transfer portal. Matty Sissoko, public enemy number 1, after he hit Iota Sumu a couple of years ago that led to that injury. Man. He's been better than they thought he would, but he's cooled off a little bit lately. But A.J. Hogarth's one of the best point guards in the Big Ten. He's number 3 in the country in assist rate. He really did a great job of closing out that Wisconsin game last game. So he's a big-bodied guard, really gets his teammates involved really well. And we saw last year, Tyson Walker, that guy can go off and get some buckets. He did it twice against Illinois last year. Did it against drop coverage when Kofi Coburn was doing that. Illinois was running more drop coverage with Dane Danger, who's been phenomenal defensively the last couple games. So that their team goes as the guards go, but they do have some good forwards. Joey Hauser is a really versatile forward that can really stretch you from 3. And then Malik Hall, he's always been a matchup issue for Illinois at that 4, kind of a big body. Illinois does have more guys though. Matthew Meyer, Coleman Hawkins, Ty Rodgers now that you can put on him, body him up, has the length a little bit more. So I'm not as concerned about their front court, but those guards can really get going. And it's a big test, especially for a guy like Jaden Epps tonight. I would imagine Terrence Shannon's going to be on Hogard a little bit, but Jaden Epps is going to have to play really good defense tonight for Illinois to kind of corral those guys.
The matchup my eye goes to tonight definitely is the one inside. I'm assuming we see Dane Danger in the starting lineup once again. Why switch things up? It's been working so far. Him matching up with Sissoko and seeing how that goes all game. What matchup for you do you think sticks out tonight?
Yeah, to me, it's whoever Jaden Epps is guarding when he's on the court, because those two guards are really, really good. And Jaden Epps, at times, can be taken advantage of defensively. He's not the biggest guy. Hogard's 6'4". Tyson Walker is a veteran, really good bucket getter. So that's the key for me. I think Sissoko's not going to go off offensively, but Dane Danger against Joey Hauser. If Joey Hauser's playing a small ball 5, Dane gets stretched out a little bit more. I'm not as concerned about it because Dane's been really good, whether it's a stretch 5 that he has to guard or if it's somebody on the interior. I don't think you can understate how good Dane Danger has been defensively. Nebraska was 11 for 23 on layups the other game. A lot of that was Dane Danger. Some of that's Coleman Hawkins, some of that's Matthew Meyer and the length Illinois has. But what Dane Danger does in that drop coverage, watch it tonight because he's playing like an all-defensive team level.
Yeah. And speaking of defense, it seems like that has been the consistent for Illinois so far this season. We saw against Northwestern, they held them, my memory serves, to 32% from the field in Evanston. They just gave up 40 free throws in that game.
Stop fouling. Yeah.
Exactly. That has been the consistent for Illinois. In these past 2 weeks, getting the offense involved hasn't hurt that as much, which I think, for me personally, was a worry. Can they balance doing both sides of the court as good as each other?
Well, that's I think the most impressive thing the last couple of games. Now, it's been Nebraska, Wisconsin without Tyler Wall. So you kind of got to do that caveat. But their defense has been more locked in. And one of the big reasons for that, Andy, I think their half-court defense has been great all year. Illinois is turning the ball over less. I think 11 turnovers each of the last 2 games, which still isn't great.
It's a lot better than what it was.
They were having 18, 17. I think Northwestern or one of the teams gave up 33 points on 17 turnovers. Northwestern had like 20-something off turnovers. Those jailbreak layups off turnovers, those have gone down. I think Illinois' defense has gotten better and better. These are 2 of the best half-court defenses in the Big Ten. Michigan State right now is number 1 in the Big Ten in defensive efficiency. So this could be a game that's in the 50s and 60s getting into the last minutes. So if a team gets to 70, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. But this could be a slugfest. It's going to test Illinois, that's for sure.
Totals in the 130s. I don't remember what it is exactly. So right there, that Vegas is with you that it's going to be a slugfest. I know it's weird to start thinking about the standings, and Brad Underwood told us he's not thinking about the standings whatsoever, but we can look at them and see how Illinois has incrementally, it's pulling its way back up. There's a lot of teams right in the middle that it now finds itself back into the mix with those 2 wins. A win against Michigan State won't change the course of the season or anything like that, I don't think, but you can certainly put yourself in better standing as things go right now.
If Illinois is going to be a Big Ten title contender, they have to win at home against a team like Michigan State. If you want some path to a Big Ten title, after going 0-3, you have to rattle off a 7-game win streak, an 8-game win streak, and this is probably the time to do it because you have this game at home, right? You have Minnesota on the road. Indiana, really down right now, but you get them at home. Like Ohio State, down right now, at home. Like these are the times where you got to make the run. And Brad Underwood, every year he's had at Illinois that's been successful, they've had this like late December, early January fog, and then they come out of it and reel off a winning streak. So if this team wants to be in Big Ten contention, this game got to win. Because 4 losses through 6, Purdue's probably going to win 14 games at least in this league. So you'd have to do that. But I think more importantly than anything, Andy, it's about stacking wins. It's about finding consistency for this team. And if you can get to 3-3 through 6 Big Ten games, feel a lot better about yourself, not only for the Big Ten contention, for the NCAA tournament resume, just about what this team is capable of once you get into late February and, of course, March.
I don't think we should, discredit momentum, too, with this team, with a lot of these guys not ever having gone through Big Ten play before. which I don't know how different that is to Big 12 play, like Shannon and Meyer have gone through, but it's one of the toughest leagues in the world.
Well, that's where you got to lean on Shannon and Meyer because they've done these things before. Dane Danger's never done this.
Yeah.
Coleman Hawkins has kind of done it. RJ Melendez hasn't done this.
Yeah.
Right? He was on the team last year, but he didn't play all that much.
Yeah.
And, of course, all the freshmen that are playing. So, yeah, this is where every night you have to bring it. Consistency is how you win, whether it's the NCAA tournament, whether it's the Big Ten, whether it's the Big Ten tournament. You have to bring it every night, no matter the opponent, no matter the venue. That's what this team still has to prove. So that's what I'm talking about. If this team can build on it and find a way to get consistency, because they really haven't done that all year long.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our final thoughts here, what keys to the game, things that you're going to look for before we get to our predictions, because in my mind, this one should be a good one. I don't see it being a 7-point game. I'm going to give a little sneak peek. I think it's going to be closer than that, but it should be a slugfest.
Yeah, to me, it's keep turnovers down.
Yeah.
I think your defense can really bother Michigan State as long as you don't give them the free ones. And the other thing to go along with that would be fouling. Limit fouls, limit turnovers, make them beat you in the half court. I think Illinois is going to have a good chance. Offensively, I'm sorry, outside of turnovers, make threes.
Yeah.
When this team makes threes, they're pretty good. And Michigan State's really good at defending the three. Best in the Big Ten at defending the three. I think opponents are only shooting 27% against Michigan State. But for me, it's Terrence Shannon aggression. If Terrence Shannon is aggressive, taking the ball to the hoop, not turning it over, I think this team is tough to beat. And that's why if Terrence Shannon has his normal B+ A game, I think Illinois should be the better team because they had the best player on the court.
Yeah.
I think they have more talent and depth.
All right, with that, what do you think the score is going to be in this one? 6.5-point favorite, Illinois is. We'll say that.
Yeah, I think this one comes down to the wire, which is going to be a fun test because Illinois has not really had a game come down to the wire since Texas. So I think this is going to be a big test of that, but I do think Illinois will eke out a victory tonight, 67-63, something like that.
I'm on the opposite end, and I don't mean to hurt the Illini fans' feelings out there. I hope I'm wrong. I will say, I've been a little bit of like a bugaboo for Illinois recently. I don't remember the last win that I've attended for the Illini. I believe it was all the way back that Texas game. So fans should be upset that I'm here at this game. I'm going to try and reverse the momentum by picking the other team. I'm going to go Michigan State 69-66, right around that total once again. It will be close, I think. It's going to come down to the last few possessions.
I think we know it should be a war, right?
Yes.
And as long as Illinois doesn't revert to the Illinois of 2-3 weeks ago, I think this should be a really competitive game. I do think Illinois is more talented, but they're less consistent than Michigan State. So anything could happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. All right, after the game is over, Jeremy, or let's do before the game. We still have 74 minutes before the game. What can people find on Illini Inquirer to occupy their time before tip-off?
Yeah, you can check out Derek Piper's 3 keys and a pick. He's under the weather, but he was able to get that in, so a great breakdown of that. Also, if you got time, you want to listen to a podcast, I sat down with Trevor Belize from Field of 68, Isaac Trout of 24/7 Sports, and broke down, Andy, who is good in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
We tried to sort out the Big Ten, so that's a pre-game pod you can listen to.
Who knows at this point who is good in the Big Ten? I need to listen to it because I have no idea who is good. Purdue, and then that's about it that I know. All right, for Jeremy, I'm Andy. Thank you so much for spending your time before the game with us. Afterwards, on the 10 o'clock news, you can watch highlights plus my report live courtside here from State Farm Center. As long as things don't go into overtime, fingers crossed that we'll make that work. And then after the game as well, wherever you're watching this, you can watch Brad Underwood's post-game press conference as well, plus the WCIA 3-in-1 podcast later tonight as well, wherever you listen to podcasts. Should be a fun one. We appreciate you joining us, and we will